Assalamualaikum and good afternoon. Thank you for joining the Halal in Travel Global Summit hosted by Crescent Rating. This afternoon session is titled, How Will the My segment adapt to the pandemic impact? I'm the moderator. My name is Firhan Salam. I'm the Area Director for Indonesia based in Jakarta for Singapore Tourism Board. In my current capacity, I oversee the marketing, business development and operation of STB's second largest tourism market to Singapore. I'm extremely honored to have such distinguished panelists with me here today. Let me quickly introduce them. First up, we have Mr. Edward Liu, Managing Director, Conference and Exhibition Management Services Private Limited, SAMS, which operates in ASEAN countries, China, and beyond. Edward is an industry veteran and has served in numerous capacities in various local, regional, and international industry associations. Next up, we have Mr. Noor Ahmad Hamid, Chief Operating Officer, Malaysian Convention and Exhibition Bureau, MICEP, where he is responsible for enhancing the strategic direction, community collaboration, and operational processes. He has extensive international experience as well, and amongst his many corporate hats, he is an advisor for the Asia Pacific Federation of Association Organizers. We also have Mr. Nasir Deb, the Director for Halal Expo Canada Exhibition and Conference. He's a marketing and events management professional in Canada with over 25 years of global experience in the exhibition industry. After a successful career in Middle East, he moved to Canada in 2012 to spearhead the international market development and new events in North America. Last but not least, we have with us Mr. Mamadou Ndiaye, Chief Executive Officer, Apsaya. He is a technology entrepreneur with a track record of building companies in Europe and Southeast Asia. He co-founded Apsaya in Malaysia, which aims to enhance human interactions and meetings for business events and communities. With almost a combined experience of 1 century here this evening, I'm sure there are lots to learn as we hear insights and sharing from these distinguished panelists. I will ask a few questions directly to the respective speakers, and the rest of you may also respond, say within 3 to 4 minutes. And others who want to add in, please keep to new insights. Audience may type in their comments or questions, but due to limited time, we may give written replies after this. Let's begin with a rapid fire round. What is one word that you would use to describe the COVID-19 pandemic thus far, be it personally, for your organization or the industry? Maybe we can start with Mr. Noor.
Firstly, thank you, Firhan, and Assalamualaikum to all our audience. One word, that's not easy, but I would say unprecedented would be my word.
Okay. Mr. Edward Liu. I think you're muted there.
Right. The word I have in mind is disastrous for all of us.
Disastrous, that's good. How about Mr. Mamadou?
The word I have is adapt.
Adapt,
So
okay.
we have to adapt to new changes.
Very positive. How about Mr. Nasir?
The only word I have for me is resilience, and that's the best thing to put it, just to keep us more resilient into continuing forward.
Right, thank you. I think it reflects the general sentiments. There's a bit of apprehension, a bit of sense of disorientation, challenging, yet there's also a silver lining and opportunities for all of us to grab. According to a recent published white paper by the PCMA, the Professional Convention Management Association, and UFI, the Global Association of Exhibition Industry, as well as the Singapore Tourism Board, titled Reimagining Business Events Through COVID-19 and Beyond, COVID-19 has actually disrupted industries and halted travel, resulting in $28 trillion in lost economic output and 114 million job cuts. Now, the pandemic underscored the need for all organizations, especially those who are heavily dependent on face-to-face interactions, to better future-proof themselves through innovation. Right? The business event sector was one of the worst hit, while many companies in the sector enjoyed record numbers in 2019 and projected an even rosier 2020. The pandemic pulled brakes on all those plans. Now, although most professionals in the industry would agree that face-to-face meetings remain relevant, they also agree on the urgent need to rethink and re-engineer business events. Let me ask Mr. Noor and subsequently Mr. Nasir too. Is there still value, and if there are, what are they for face-to-face events, like exhibitions and conferences today? Maybe Mr. Noor?
Thank you, Firhan. I think first and foremost, I must say that we are only human. and it's a human nature that we need to meet somebody else, whether our family members, friends, business colleagues, and a face-to-face meeting is something that irreplaceable. That is without doubt, without any question. But I think the limitation that we have with this pandemic, it really teach all of us all over the world that now in a lot of pocket of places that even family members within a 10-kilometer radius will not be able to meet. What more international travel? So this has hit a lot of businesses that are based on the face-to-face meeting. I strongly believe that inshallah we will get to be able to travel again, to meet, and borders will reopen. I think everywhere in the world, people are readjusting, people are resetting, even though early on I said unprecedented, but it also provides a great opportunity for us, humankind, to work and to live with this pandemic. In some destination, they already call it endemic because they already realize that this is just another type of virus, just like many other viruses that we have in the world. Easier said, but this is one of the biggest tests that all of us are facing right now.
Yeah, I think it's true. I think living with COVID is the way forward, but it comes with certain conditions. How about Mr. Nasir? Any views on this?
This is going to be like a lot of things to talk about because, but the thing is, I can summarize it in a way that face-to-face events are the way forward. I've experienced it for the last 30 years. I've done trade shows around the world. I've been to a lot of the trade shows around the world, and I think having the face-to-face and the feel and touch kind of approach will never be replaced, at least for the next 10, 20 years, because the reason why the people need to, like when you meet somebody in a trade show and you look at the products, you get to feel it, you get to see the materials, the quality, and then when you meet the person that trying to sell you the product, or the body gesture, the connection that you get, it can never be replaced. I've seen this now when things start to open up and the vaccines start to roll out. I've seen for my exhibitors. I have one of my exhibitors in the stone missionary business. He said to me, "I did very well in the pandemic. I mean, don't take me wrong. I've done a lot of sales because people are renovating their houses, kitchen and bath and things like that." But he said, "I need a trade show. I cannot survive like that. I need a trade show." So he signed up right away because he was looking forward to be part in the trade show. And also, when I talked to the financial analysts from one of the biggest banks here in RBC, they told me that the way the market's going to emerge, like now we are more into digital. Like you see those Zoom and this, virtual companies are skyrocketing in the stock market. But now the market, the new market for investment will be analog, because you'll find out that people are now, like the cruises are fully booked for the summer. The trips, if people decide to travel, used to travel like one time a year, now they want to travel twice a year because people are tired of being at home, tired of being locked down. Psychologically, everything is affecting that. So I think the way this is going to be, we're going to have more interaction, more trips, travel, vacation, and that's what I see, and that's also what the analyst is saying, that things will go back to analog, and in terms of travel, in terms of the MICE industry. So it will continue, but of course there will be some kind of complement, like those virtual things that's happening, but it will never, I think, in my opinion, will never replace the actual trade shows or the actual events or in person.
Yeah. And I think that is exactly the sentiment a lot of the industry players are saying, that the prognosis is that event will never totally disappear, right? It may change in some forms, but the channel remains important for many people. I wanted to quote that the event sector has also weathered a lot of crises. I think many will recall the SARS outbreak in 2003 and the global financial crisis in 2008. In both cases, the business event sector had to overcome enormous challenges, and learnings from these moments in history have also changed the way we operated then. And I think we'll continue. And with this COVID-19, we have to learn to adapt. Like one of you said earlier, the word is adapt and be resilient. Right? And the ability to deliver meaningful event is very much powered by the protocols that constrain live events with dense people-to-people interaction today. And amid some of these circumstances, we probably have to ask ourselves, what are the motivations and also what are the detractors to attending business event in this day and age? Are there changing demands and expectations too from business event delegates? So let me now turn to Mr. Edward. In this current climate, we have seen the adoption of technologies like integrated AI solutions comprising of temperature scanning, face detection, social distancing monitoring, cough and flu detection, crowd density control flow, and many others to kind of enhance delegate experience. Events driven by better use of technology to change the way we convene, interact, network, share ideas, and even buy and sell at marketplace. What do you make of this trend? And are there game changers that you have noticed in the industry or by your own company?
Thank you. Thank you for that question, Farhan. To be very candid, right now, virtual shows for trade shows are not there yet. Much of this technology, the pivoting is more towards conferences, conventions. And therefore, many countries, including Singapore, of course, we have been able to host a number of international events. Okay. In fact, earlier this week, Reed Exhibition organized the IBTM Wired event with a couple of 100 delegates. But it was primarily a conference. Now, with regards to trade shows, as I said, right now, there isn't any major trade show that are taking place in Singapore or perhaps even in Southeast Asia. Okay? Right. What happens is that, virtual trade shows are untried. We have no choice but to now pivot to organizing digital or virtual trade shows. Therefore, we are looking at vendors, people like Mamadou, perhaps, who are able to come out with the right technology, the right solutions or features that would enable the exhibitors to have effective communication or contacts with the trade buyers. From the feedback that I've received, even from the government sector, there are still a lot of pain points, as it were, for exhibitors taking part in virtual trade shows. They are complaining that there aren't enough quantitatively the visitors. Now, so therefore, if you are not able to attract a good number of international visitors, and more importantly, the quality of visitors, then, the companies, the exhibitors would not be so prepared to come on board to take part in the exhibition. So therefore, it is really a chicken and egg. To me, there are therefore two important considerations. One, it is the functionalities of the system that we are putting in place. If this system is able to provide the features that will help, matchmake buyers and sellers, providing them with communication tools, that would be key. Number two is that we must also have quality exhibitors and also visitors. So right now, these are the two key considerations that we are working on to ensure that we are able to bring, the best match together. But as an organizer of many years, I still believe very much in face-to-face. Okay? That's the real McCoy. Thank you.
Thanks, Edward. And Mr. Mamadou, what's your comment to that? What do companies or event organizers need to do to deliver the kind of or greater value to MICE delegates in the future?
Hi everyone. So it's really interesting to hear this. Can you hear me well? Perfect. Okay. Yeah. On our side, so what I've heard here. So I am the youngest here, and I am the one who had the least experience in here, especially in the mice industry. So for me, it's really a thrill to be surrounded by these people. So thank you very much for your insights. And it's great that I speak in the last, so that we can apply the methodology that we are using as a startup in any industry. So the methodology is very simple. It has to go back to the customer. So we don't start from the technology. So it has to go back from the customer. What are the needs from the market? And from there, we can build technologies. We can provide solutions that meets the customer's need. So on our side, as a technology company in the event industry, so our revenue was solely depending on the events. So we come up in 2020, no events, all canceled or postponed. So for a small company like us, it was not easy, but actually it was the opportunity for us to prove ourselves and to really come and innovate faster and better so that we can come up with solutions. And what happened at the end of this 2020, our revenue grew, our revenue increased if we compare to 2029, thanks to the adaptability that the whole team they come up with. So we come with two main points. As mentioned by Mr. Edward, by Mr. Nur Ahmed and Nasir, it's about face-to-face meetings. We cannot replace this. We are human beings. We've been in this planet for millions of years. So it's not a 1 or 2 or 3 year event that can change the whole course of human action. So this has to be clear. This is something, it's a test, it will go away. For us, it's just a test, it will go away. No, nothing will be clear. If you look back, it will be a small thing, clearly. For a face-to-face meeting, we cannot change it. This is about community. So what we thought, and the concept we have is that events are a very important part of the community. Actually, events help to build a community, whether it's the community in the halal economy, a community in the industry, in the travel industry. It's about building a community. So events are just the highlight of the community. If you take any wedding ceremony or whether event happen in your neighborhood, it's an event just for people to meet, and then after the discussion, the conversation go on year round, and then we meet again. So if you take that, we come up with two main solutions, saying that okay, our platform is a business matching and networking platform for trade shows and conferences. We are more into trade shows, and we are serving more the major halal trade shows in the world. So we say, okay, people used to meet on site. Now that they cannot meet, let's provide a solution for them to meet online. It's very simple. We don't come up with big technologies. A lot of technologies, as mentioned by Mr. Edward very rightfully, that a lot of technologies are here. It's not about technology. It's about solutions. So we focus on providing people a simple solution to find the right exhibitors and schedule a one-to-one meeting and meet online, and then give their feedback on a survey, just in one platform branded to the event organizer, so that the discussion, the conversation keep on going, whether they can do it online or not online. So now you can combine it with hybrid events. So that's the one solution. The second solution, we are just putting back the event at its place in the community. So what happened in the event industry is what happened in the retail industry. The retail industry come from the offline. You go to just the shop and you buy. And then we come to online, where Amazon, Lazada came up. And now we go to omnichannel, where you combine the online and the offline. So the event industry is going through that same transformation. So on-site events, and then you go to online search, where before you go to the event, you see the exhibitors, you schedule meetings. Now people would like to meet before and after the event. So we come up with a solution that allows you, after the event, people continue in the community and continue the conversation like you see in LinkedIn, but all in a branded community for the event organizer. This will help to qualify the lead for the next event. As mentioned earlier, the lead has to be qualified and have the right exhibit and the right bias for event. So this is in a nutshell what we come up with, and so far it looks like it's getting a good feedback.
Right. I think that's a great point, because I think digital solutions and digital platforms provide critical visitor data that can be used for retargeting and then optimization of future experiences. So your event actually live longer than your typical 3 or 4 days that you have at the roadshow, but then you have a way of keeping in touch with this community now, and then they become your future kind of event attendees and delegates that you can cultivate and retarget as well. And I guess you're right, in the most fundamental sense, innovation is really about adapting to the consumer needs and the current situation, right? The mantra should be really think and behave like a startup to remain agile in these current times, right? And I think one of the buzzwords of the events industry now is really hybrid. But what does hybrid really mean, right? So there's an interesting statistics that I would like to pull out, referencing the earlier white paper, that there is a stronger appetite for digital or hybrid events in Asia itself, with respondents more than twice as likely to have participated in such events than respondents from all other parts of the world. And visitors from Asia are significantly more likely to convert from attending a new event digitally to attending in-person event in future, from 64% compared to 48% of respondents from all over the rest of the world, right? So that's the potential of them attending a digital event now, and then in future converting to a physical face-to-face event. So that means the hybrid format actually offers you an opportunity to reach out to a wider audience, a larger addressable market, and future conversion opportunities. So let me ask Mr. Nasir now again, does this and have this also changed the demographics of your events compared to pre-COVID times?
Okay, so are you asking about the type of people that we attract for the events? Well, it hasn't changed. We cannot analyze that now because we didn't do the shows in order for us to do the analysis. but the demographic, as only from the international, we are facing a difficulty because of the restriction of travel. Okay. But it's easing up because now we're allowing slowly some international flights to come in from Europe and some from Asia. So as long as they're vaccinated. So in July, you will hear some good news from Canada. US is also lifting the restrictions.
Inshallah.
So if you're referring to that demographic as far as the regions, yes, we're more focusing on North America at this stage, but we are getting some international. The kind of if the age group you're talking about, that's something we don't we deal only with businesses. We don't deal with consumers. But if you can just give me a bit more clarification of your question. Yeah. I'm not sure.
So, one of the theme, I guess, for conferences and exhibition owners that we are hearing or reading from the literature, in a post-COVID environment, there is greater inclusivity in terms of the type of people that are attending events. And this could be conferences or exhibition, and not your typical exhibition goer or typical conference goer, because now you can target them online. The addressable market becomes larger, right? And you're able to engage them even before the event itself. And sustain the engagement. So I guess the question is really asking whether for some of your events, maybe in future, do you expect a shift in some of the demographic makeup?
Well, because for us, we're not looking to that direction. The only thing we do, and that's with matchmaking companies like Absaya, we do the matchmaking online first, and so they can book an appointment on site. We not yet looked at that area yet, but we are looking into it depending on how things will go. But currently we are still doing the normal attraction. So we're gonna see how it's gonna flow and how it's gonna go. We cannot really judge that what type we will be attracting, but most likely the B2B business shows are that we do. It's attracting the businesses and the owners of companies. So that's what. Mainly our demographic that we're focusing on. As far as age group, no, we don't really look at that much. More at the business function and activities.
Sure, thanks. How about Mr. Mamadou? From you, do you see this community of yours expanding and changing in terms of demographics or the reach? I think you're still on mute.
This is a question for me, right?
Yes. So do you see this community of yours changing in terms of demographics?
Yeah. First, in terms of type, we haven't seen the change in terms of type demographic. We just have seen that the events are absolutely, even if they are organized in hybrid or online, the size is reduced to really a lot. We have seen event with 30,000 people. They are expecting 20,000, maybe less. So what we have seen is the behavior of people in these events is that they don't prepare for 1 year or 8 months to go to an event. They want to go to an event here and there, meaning that spread around the year. So go to this event here and to this event here, spending one afternoon in this event and another afternoon to this event. So allowing them to have the ongoing event, ongoing meeting, not just a one shot of an event when it comes to digital. So now more and more organizations, what we have seen last year. So with two major projects we have delivered. So one is for one government agency in Malaysia. In Malaysia, you talk about 900,000 SMEs. So that government organization agency built a matchmaking platform for people to meet all year round. So SMEs, international SMEs, will be meeting on that platform all year round, scheduling meeting and then conducting businesses. And they combined it with the online events, 4 to 5 days events. All this combined in one platform so that they can understand the interaction between events and communities. So I think the behavior change through digital and this transformation.
Okay, that's great. And I hope after the whole engagement, they eventually do return to physical events when the time is right, right?
Exactly.
And I think, yeah, and we are segueing to our next section. Actually, the mice industry is really big business, right? But however, we travel at a standstill. The business event sector, the global exhibition category, for example, contracted by about 68%. And more than half of the 450 companies in the exhibition industry that UFI polled in January this year said they have had to reduce their workforce. So the scale and spread of COVID-19 is really unprecedented, as you said. Now, the prolonged closure of international borders, the resurgent cases, and uncertainty of lockdown, as well as differences in regulations across country, makes the effort to make long-term projection almost impossible or extremely challenging. Let me ask Mr. Noor now, how have your organization been championing or pioneering the safe reopening of business events? And I guess for convention bureaus or government agency, is there a need for a common standard or protocol across the sector to kind of revive the industry collectively?
Thank you, Firhan. I think that's a very good question. Not just Malaysia, I think every destination in the world are looking forward, looking at strategies, means, and way to reset how we can reopen. And for Malaysia, we have planned our own recovery strategy as well. But what we realized upon doing that is that we are not in the world as just one country. You need to interact with everybody. So the key word here is basically a collaboration. And as we see the trend or what's happening around the world now, earlier part, maybe late last year, the whole of Asia are controlling the pandemic pretty well, and things are quite bad in the West. But as today, we can see that the West has done a very good job with vaccination process, that they are already opening in the US and also in Europe. But in Asia, that's not the case. Therefore, I think the change that that destination going to do, in particular for Malaysia and others, we're going to look at what are the herd immunity of all these destinations. There'll be a lot of conversation between different government, different countries to talk about bilateral travel and so forth. We also need to talk about a vaccinated business traveler and also linking the hybrid event to a more sustainable face-to-face event. I think these are all the learning point that we have from COVID-19. Even though earlier again I said unprecedented, but still this is the pandemic that really provide us the opportunity for us to move forward in a better way for the Ummah. And I think I'd just like to throw in two nice words here. Number one, I think we are all becoming more digital frenzy. We have this word called digital native and digital immigrant, especially people like me who are in the older side. We are the digital immigrant. We try to be part of the digital society. But now I think everybody is in the same boat, different wave, but we are all digital frenzy. And secondly, especially for the business event or MICE industry, I know Edward and Nasir, we were talking earlier on, Mamadou, and also I'm sure Firhan and all our listeners, we are all travelers. Whether we travel for leisure or for business, I think the time will come, there will be what we call the revenge traveler. So this is the people that have been locked down for a long time, just waiting to travel. I know that there's a couple of countries that has reopened in a very small way. They invited speakers and delegates from overseas in a very small number. But, there are still a lot of skepticism that people are not be so brave enough to travel. But there are also a lot of people who are willing to travel for whatever cost it is. So I think that's going to happen. And on the last note, if I may quickly also, I think, we are all speaking English. I think English sometimes can be a very contradicting language, because now we call the word like social distancing, before COVID, when we talk about socializing, that means you're getting to meet somebody face to face. But now we have this new term called social distancing, just like, you found missing or open secret, So it's very, very contradicting. But I hope that, we will all move forward toward positively. And as far as Malaysia is concerned, we are doing our very best to try to open some of the destination first as our first destination. And eventually, when we reach a greater herd immunity, we will welcome business travelers and tourists alike from all over the world, inshallah.
Thank you. And I think that's the right approach. Taking small steps, you pilot certain events and protocols, and then learn from it, and then you build and scale up, right? I think that's the way forward, and it's done in a very calibrated and safe approach. And I think coming to the last section, I think the business events is ultimately about people, both that are attending the trade show as well as behind the scenes. Very few technologies can run autonomously. So business event personnel must also evolve. So I guess when we look at reimagining experiences, redesigning the hardware, let me also ask Mr. Edward, what do we need to do about the software? The current industry professionals today, and also the future MICE professionals that are going to join the industry. Are there new competencies that would define this COVID era MICE professional?
Well, thank you for that question. I think like what Noor has mentioned, every country is now trying to reset the MICE agenda. Every country wants to try and open up as quickly as possible. That goes with Singapore. In fact, as early as the middle of last year, Singapore has already come up with its own set of guidelines called the Industry Resilience Roadmap, or IRR, in order to guide the industry to re-enter into the industry. Only recently, earlier last month, the Enterprise Singapore, government agency, has now introduced what they call the Technical Reference 84. Now, this technical reference is basically an enhancement of the IRR guidelines that were issued earlier between SASIOS, our industry association, Enterprise Singapore, and the Singapore Tourism Board. So all this is aimed at positioning Singapore as a safe and trusted as well as innovative destination for the MICE industry. However, in fact, my company was supposed to pilot the first major trade show with up to 2,500 participants on the 30th of June, yesterday, until tomorrow. But unfortunately, due to the spike in the community cases in May and in June, we have to call off our event as well, because the government has now reset the timetable and then move it back to phase 2, heightened alert. So therefore, in consideration of all the above, and especially that government and many of us are now moving towards doing hybrid show, SASIOS has now introduced 2 master classes. One master class will be on strategic narratives, and the other one is a master class on broadcasting. Yeah. So we understand, we realize that, as I said, virtual shows are untried, and we do not really have too many experts in this area. So we will really have to borrow eclectically from other industries and to help promote a new talent pool of people that could really work well in the virtual world and be able to provide a good narrative as to why we are pivoting to digital trade shows. Okay, but as I mentioned earlier, I still believe very much in a physical trade show. So we can only do a good hybrid show provided we have a very good physical show. Okay, so the two can go well together. But if Mamadou can help us solve the problem of getting effective communication and engagement between the exhibitors and the trade visitors, then I think there's a good chance that virtual show could well play a greater part in the new normal under the pandemic, or rather under the COVID endemic condition.
Thanks, Mr. Edward. And I think rightly you mentioned some of the skills and competencies that you are introducing for some of the MICE professionals. I think in this new age, given that there's a pivot, like you said, to digitalization and using technology, some of the new skills includes digital literacy, multi-channel content delivery, data management, and even cyber security. So these are things that event professional now need to be equipped with. Right, I am mindful of time. I think we are running out of time, and I think thank you for the very robust discussion. One last rapid fire question before we go off. What is one word you would use to describe the future of the MICE industry? Maybe I can start with Mr. Noor. You're muted. Sorry.
My one word is inshallah.
Inshallah. Okay. Mr. Edward.
Well, I am a born optimist. I think there will always be opportunity if you look hard for it. Okay? Yeah. Be, as they said, resilient, and be optimistic.
All right.
Thank
Very
you.
positive words. Mr. Mamadou. You're muted as well, Mr. Mamadou. Or maybe I go to Mr. Nasir first.
Okay, I think Brother Noor, he just stopped it. I cannot put anything above, inshallah. So I would say just efforts. Those who make efforts will be guided in the right way, in the right way. Oh,
okay.
Am
Mr. Nasir?
I would say strong.
Am I muted?
No,
it's not
you're
muted
good.
on my side.
We heard
Can
you.
you hear me?
We heard. Good.
It's not muted.
Yeah. Mr. Nasir?
It did? Can you hear me?
Yes, we heard you. We got your response.
You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Nasir.
Okay. I would say
muted, yeah.
I would say one word, but I would like to add one more: stronger and more innovative.
stronger and more innovative. Great. I think these are all very positive and inspiring outlook, and that's the kind of message I think we want to send out to those who are tuning in from the mines industry. It's not all doom and gloom. I think it's how we make of the situation and chart the way forward. I think change management are golden words for the mines and tourism businesses now. I think that they have to be more agile, adopt a growth mindset and outlook to survive not only this period, but also to prime themselves for much stronger recovery in the near future. With that, I thank the panelists for a truly insightful and engaging session, and I hope all of you tuning in also benefited from the sharing and the insights. Thank you again for joining this session at Halal in Travel Global Summit, and do check out the other interesting sessions we have as well. Thank you, take care and stay safe.